Hi, everyone. I'm Bronwyn Stanford. I'm new to the Zoom.
Welcome, Bronwyn. Where are you from?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. So thank you.
Where are you from?
Miami, actually.
Oh. How's it going?
How did you hear
down
about
there?
the call?
Sorry, what?
How did you hear about the call?
You know, Julie Levy, Dr. Levy,
Excellent.
told me about it. Yeah. So I'm really excited to participate and
I hope
beyond
you
what
pay
I
it
can, for
forward
sure.
and invite
sorry?
others. I hope you'll pay it forward and invite others.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I will definitely. I'm excited. So thank you. Thank you for having it and looking forward to it.
Thanks for being here. Good morning to you. And Courtney, why don't you unmute and say hello to everyone as well?
Hi, everyone. This is Courtney Wennerstrom. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Tell everybody where you're from and what you do.
So I work for the American Association of Pet Parents. We are a new nonprofit, and I'm the director of content, and I'm really hoping to help translate animal welfare issues for the general public. So I think there's a lot of people who are very well-meaning, but they don't always know how to help or what to do. So just that's what we're here to do. I'm really excited to be on the call. Thank you.
Thanks, Courtney. We're excited to hear from you in a couple months as well as we work on some collaborations. What I love with what Courtney does the most is she said, Bobby, I want to take all of this stuff that shelter folks talk to shelter folks about and make it so the public understands what the heck y'all are saying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we would love that. So thank you again, Courtney.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. It is 8:01 Pacific Standard Time where I am. Good morning. My name is Bobby Mann. I'm the Maddie's Human Animal Support Services Pilot Coordinator, and I'm so excited and honored to be hosting this call with the amazing Mary Smith. We're going to have two amazing presentations, one about a product that's going to help not only your staff, but your community be better pet parents, and two, a professional development opportunity that's going to be wonderful for all of us. But before we get started, I'm going to do my favorite thing. Oh, look at all of this birthday love. Thanks, Gina, for putting me on blast. But we can talk about that later. Before we do that, I want to toss it over to my dear, dear friend, Mary Smith.
Good morning, everybody. Bobby, happy birthday. You know, I don't know if I ever told you all the story of how I met Bobby. I was actually in Tori and Teresa, I was in Kansas City. And I think it was Sharon and Amy and Allison. I don't know if you were with us or not. I think maybe you were. We were having one of our meals with Mary in a restaurant. Shelley, were you with us? I'm not sure. Okay, Shelley's saying yes. And we went to a restaurant because, you know, in Kansas City, you guys might not know this, but there really aren't that many places where you can get something that didn't come from a cow. And we found a place and we were having lunch and it was just really great. It was part of Expo and it was just really, you know, a time to kind of kick back and just take a breath. And we finished eating, and as I go to pay the check, because that's the other part of Meals with Mary, the wait person comes over and says, oh, this has already been taken care of. And I was like, what? You're kidding me. And she goes, no, it was already taken care of by, you know, a guy that was sitting over there. And she gave me his card. And on that card was the nicest message ever from a guy named Bobby Mann, who at that point was in Front Street. And he had bought lunch for all of us and basically shared how important it was to acknowledge the great work that Maddie's Fund had done, the great work that all of us sitting at that table had done. And it was just his way of saying thank you. And I can't tell you how much that meant to us, because we all of a sudden we felt like, well, first of all, we felt like rock stars or something, because, you know, of course, it's Kansas City. It doesn't take very much to get the glitter going. And it was just so much fun to have somebody do something so completely unexpected and wonderful and nice. And in that moment, Bobby was forever endeared in our hearts. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually meant everything to us, because we're usually on the side where we're the ones doing the giving, and that's cool. That's what we do. We're a foundation. We give grants. But all of a sudden, somebody on the other side was doing something for us, and it just felt, well, I'd say that day and for a little bit longer, we walked a little bit higher, a little bit straighter, and felt that much better about who we were and what we were doing. So, Bobby, I want to thank you for that, because that was such a special moment in our hearts always. And so today, being able to wish you a happy birthday, it's absolutely the least we can do to just send you lots of good wishes for the best year ever. But now I want to take it down for a minute, because if there is anyone on the call from Louisiana or any of those places, I don't even know if you'd be able to be on the call, because New Orleans has lost power completely. It's so freaking beyond anything I can imagine. And Brandy, please notice that I said freaking and not anything else. Thank you. I'm learning. You know, I mean, I can't even believe that it's 16 years since Katrina, and it's the worst storm that they've had since the 1800s. It's like, wow. So I'm sure all of the shelters in the South and nearby are doing everything possible and have done everything possible to pull animals out, to help people, to do whatever. But as you hear about things, please feel, you know, there are a lot of places, I'm sure, as much as I hate Facebook, I'm sure Facebook is doing a good job of connecting people and resources. I know resources are absolutely at a premium right now in California. The wildfires are just relentless. And every day on Cal Animals, there's more and more calls for help. And we're seeing all of the shelters that are reaching out, that are sending ACOs, that are sending disaster personnel. And I'm sure the same thing is happening on the East Coast with all of this. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all, because as Jim Tedford has often said, we are animal people and we can change the world. But sometimes it's not about changing the world. It's just about putting out a hand, offering our help, offering our assistance, giving those words of assurance and support, because it really helps when we know we're doing all of this together and we're not in it alone. So my heart goes out to all of you that are in areas that are hard hit. There seems to be more of that happening every single day than less, but we will get through it. Thank you, Bobby. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Mary. And I'm so glad and honored that the second half of that message was really about supporting and elevating others, because that is the whole reason why we're here. And that's the whole reason we're going to continue to be successful. So thank you for that, Mary. So we're going to open up the floor for national updates or any updates from anybody on the call. So I'm going to mute and feel free to speak up.
Hey all, it's Lindsay from the Humane Society of the United States. I just wanted, we don't have obviously any real specifics about Ida yet, as I'm sure the rest of you are in the same boat, but our teams have staged nearby in an area that's safe. So we have a couple of MOUs to respond, and if and when that request comes in, our teams are as close as they can be without being in harm's way. So our team is on calls right now about what our response could look like. But of course, if anyone has questions and it's easier to reach me, I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Hi, everybody. It's Irene from Maddie's Fund, and I just wanted to remind everybody that the Open Arms Challenge application for participating in the challenge, the application ends today, and I am at the ready to answer any questions, provide any technical assistance. This is a challenge with 15 national organizations collaborating, and it's a chance at $200,000 in grants, prizes to implement some new practices that are open and inclusive. And thank you to all those who have already submitted their applications. And again, I'm available for assistance. Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Kathy from Canada. We're thinking of you guys down in Louisiana and wish that we could be more helpful. At any rate, if there is anything you need, just let us know and we can certainly send money. It's not worth as much as yours, but it'll help. Just a reminder that we've got the Humane Canada Summit for Animals mini event about the impacts of climate change on animal welfare coming up on September the 15th. Thank you, Allison, for dropping stuff in the chat. And we also have the abstracts open for the full summit coming in May of next year, 2022. And that will be throughout the month of May, a number of different days. It's a hybrid event, so there will be hopefully some in person and some virtual. Thanks.
Last call. Thanks everyone for those updates. All right. Well, I am so honored and so blessed for all of those messages. And we're actually going to continue to talk about positive reinforcement, because that was positive reinforcement for me about how much I love all of you and how this call is so important to me. But we also want to talk a little about pet behavior. We know that there's lots of folks that are interested in adopting pets, and we know that there's nothing better than to increase that human animal bond than training, to make sure that we're not only supporting the pets that are being adopted, but helping our parents, new pet parents, learn how to be great ambassadors for the dogs that are being adopted. But oftentimes we run into situations where it's not convenient, there may be cost barriers, or people just don't know where to go. So I'm going to introduce Ali and her team from The Good Pup to talk about a new technology that's going to help us with that resource.
Great. Thank you so much, Bobby. Happy birthday. Thank you for having us here today. So I just wanted to start off with saying a big thank you to Maddie's Fund and American Pets Alive for having us on this call today. We're so excited to be here. I also want to send out a big thank you to all of the animal welfare organizations that are helping the animals of Louisiana. New Orleans is my home, but I'm doing this call today from Jackson, Mississippi, due to the hurricane. And it's just been amazing to see all of the groups stepping up to help the animals of my area. So animals from my home shelter, the Louisiana SPCA, are all over the country now, from Houston to Atlanta to Delaware and Pennsylvania. So it's always just so amazing to see the community of the animal shelter network come together in situations like this. So thank you on a personal note from someone from New Orleans. And today we're gonna tell you about a program that can help your adopted dogs, your clients, your community. So myself and one of the founders of this company, our COO, Lisa Martin Garlick, is also here. So before I share my screen and give you a presentation about the Good Pup Rescue program, I'm going to turn it over to her for a minute so that she can introduce herself to you guys as well.
Hi everyone, echoing Allie's huge thank you for having us today. I will not take a ton of time because I want to jump right in, but yes, as Allie said, I am a co-founder and COO here at Good Pup. And I was at the dining room table when we came up with the idea of Good Pup 4 years ago. And the first thing I said was, oh, this will be fun to work with shelters. This will be so good for shelter programs. And they said, yes, Lisa, but we have to build it first. So we've been spending the last few years building it, and I'm so proud of what we've built. And now we're able to launch it and work with rescues and shelter organizations, which is just a dream come true. So this is such a wonderful call. Thank you so much. And I'll jump in case Allie has any technical issues with the hurricane. That's the other reason I'm here. Back up.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to get into talking about Good Pup. All right. So as I mentioned, my name is Allie Mayer. I am the manager of the Shelter Partnership Program at Good Pup. I've been with Good Pup for a little bit over a year now. I am also one of the certified trainers, so I can answer questions about what the experience is like from the training standpoint as well. And before coming to Good Pup, my background is in animal sheltering. So I worked in animal shelters for over 10 years before becoming a certified dog trainer. I worked at the Louisiana SPCA for 7 years as the adoption supervisor and the foster and rescue coordinator. I also worked at the Chittenden Humane Society and Humane Society of Chittenden County and Central Vermont Humane Society in Vermont. I also volunteered in shelters in Ohio when I was in college there. So I have a wide range of experience in shelters, humane societies, and rescue groups all over the country, from the Deep South to New England to the Midwest. And as soon as I joined Good Pup as a trainer, I immediately thought that this would be a fantastic resource for shelters and rescues, and that we really needed to get the word out about this program. And so that is what we're doing today. And in fact, we have actually created a program specifically with some extra perks and benefits for shelters to really support you guys and the amazing work that you are doing. And I'm gonna jump right in and start telling you about it. And towards the end of the program, I will have information about how you can sign up for this if this sounds like something that would be a good fit for your organization. All right, so let's start off with talking about how Good Pup works. So Good Pup is an app that connects certified positive reinforcement dog trainers with dog owners all over the country. And so how the, kind of the basic program works for just an average dog owner who goes to the app store and downloads the app is that they will have, it's a weekly subscription. And so each week they will have access to a one-on-one video call with their trainer, very similar to this type of video call. In addition to once a week live video calls, they'll also have unlimited access to chat support. And that's like text messaging. So they can text back and forth with their trainer if they have any additional questions or concerns or updates that come up in between their weekly sessions. And so on the screen here, you can see some images of that. The first image is what the video call looks like. And then in the second image, that's what the chat looks like. In addition to those two features, our clients also have access to homework. So after each session, the trainer will open up homework for the owner to continue during the week. And that is something that we, the trainers, can actually see. And we can see if people are doing their homework and how it's going. So after a session, I will open up some homework, say on potty training, and the owner each day will put in feedback about how it's going, little happy faces or sad faces. So if I'm not seeing anything, or if I'm seeing sad faces, I can check in proactively, see what's going on, see if I can offer some extra support so that we can really try to get in front of issues and reach out to people before a behavior issue might come to a crisis point. Our users also have access to medical support. So we have certified vet techs on the team that can give medical guidance and answer questions. And our clients also have access to a great training library of training plans and notes. So after each session, the trainer will open up content in the app. So say I do a session on crate training. After that session, I will put in homework about crate training, and then I'll open up notes and a training plan for my client about crate training. So they don't have to try to take notes or anything. It's all going to pop up in the app right there at their fingertips after their session is over. So that is everything that is involved in 1 week of the Good Pup subscription. And for a regular client who comes in through the App Store, that costs $29 per week. But for our shelter partners, we have a couple of extra benefits. So first of all, your clients would get 1 week free to try it out, see if it's going to be a good fit for them. After that, they will get a 20% discount for life. So that will end up being about $23 that they'll be paying for this per week, and they can do as much or as little as they want. They don't get locked into a set amount. And then also, we keep track of which clients come from your organization. And for each client that goes past their free trial week, we send your shelter back a donation of $50 for each one of those people to help support your ongoing efforts. I want to tell you guys a little bit about our training team and our training programs that we offer. Our training team is amazing. We have about 100 trainers on staff. They're all over the country, some in Canada and some even international. And they just come from an amazing background of experience and knowledge. I'm constantly blown away by how knowledgeable this group of trainers is. So all of our trainers come to Good Pup with at least 3 years of prior training experience, plus some type of external certification like KPA, CPDT, or CVT. Once we get selected as a potential Good Pup trainer, we go through additional training and ongoing continuing education. We also go through assessments and mock calls before we start getting paired up with clients. So you can feel really comfortable that this team of trainers are really well qualified, really well prepared to start assisting your adopters and your clients. Our training methods are all positive reinforcement training methods, and our training classes are customizable. So we can work on whatever your clients need to work on. So that can be basics from potty training, crate training, walking nicely on the leash, socialization, basic obedience cues. We also have a behavior team that can build behavior modification plans for behaviors such as separation distress, guarding resources, and leash reactivity. So it's a really flexible, customizable program. Here are a couple of the benefits that I'd like to point out that are kind of specific to the Good Pup platform. One thing that's really, really nice for shelters and adopters is that this training option is available immediately. So our trainers are available from 9 a.m. to midnight Eastern time, 7 days a week. So someone could adopt a dog from your shelter that morning, go home, and have a training session with a certified trainer that afternoon. And in fact, that's what we highly recommend. If you do sign up for this program, and if you can encourage your adopters to really take advantage of that and try to meet up with their trainer on the very first day or the very next day after adoption, that way the trainers are able to really try to help adopters set this adoption up for success. So we can help them set up their home, set up the dog's schedule, give them important tips, like, for example, not to bring their brand new dog to the dog park that day, not to have all of their friends and family over that night to meet the new dog, talk about the decompression period that's so important for shelter dogs. So that's a really, really nice benefit of this program, is that your adopters can get immediate support so that we can try to make as many of these matches successful and long lasting as possible. This is also a great benefit if you are offering this service to your surrender intervention clients, which you are, of course, welcome to do. This immediate availability is really important for them, because we know that if someone is contacting you thinking about surrendering their dog for behavior reasons, they most likely need help ASAP. So you could ask them if they would be willing to give training a try for a couple of weeks, offer them this discounted training rate, and we'll actually send you a digital copy of the flyer that you would give to them so that they could sign up and get that discount. And so you could email it to them and they could be on the phones with the trainer, within hours. So that's a really nice benefit for them. Another great thing about this platform is that we do the training in the dog's home. We do the training over cell phone, tablet, or computer. So clients can access this from anywhere. So it is great for people who might not have access to transportation. They might not have a car to be able to bring their dog to a traditional training class. It's also great for people who work 2 jobs or really long hours or unusual schedules, or have kids that they maybe can't find a babysitter to watch. We can do this training at 10 o'clock at night in the owner's home after the kids have gone to bed. So there's a lot of flexibility to work with different people with different schedules and lifestyles. In terms of the price, it's very affordable for private one-on-one customized training. So like I mentioned, their first week will be free. After that, they'll be paying $23.20 per week, and they have the option to pause or cancel at any time. But the pause is a really nice option for people. So if they are running into financial difficulties, they can ask their trainer to put their training program on pause for a couple of weeks, and then they can come back and pick up right where they left off when they're ready. We also offer this to not only your adopters, but other customers that you come into contact with through other programs in your shelter. So you can use this for surrender prevention. So you're welcome to give it out to anyone who's contacting your shelter, needing help, advice, assistance with dog behavior issues. Even if the dog did not originally come from your organization, that's okay. Even if they got it from a breeder, a friend, or Craigslist, or anywhere else, but they're contacting your shelter and needing help, you are welcome to offer this to them. Another great thing is that our training methods are all positive reinforcement. So you can feel really comfortable when you're referring adopters to us that we're going to be using the most up-to-date, humane, science and research-based training methods, rather than having people just go to the internet where they may find conflicting advice or advice that is, not the best. This program is completely free for our shelters and rescue partners. So there's no cost to your organization at all. You just sign up and we provide everything that you need. We will print and ship the flyers to you, which is what you'll be giving out to your clients. Not only is it actually free to you guys, but it's also a way to generate some donations back to your incredibly important work that you're doing. So our hope here is that we will not only prevent surrenders, prevent returns, but will also save staff time so that your staff can be more focused on the animals that are within your shelter and rescue, and we can do more of that post-adoption support for you guys. And finally, we are happy to work with any programs that already exist at your organization. We're not looking to replace any training options that you already offer to your clients. We think that's great. We just want to be an additional resource to give more people access to high quality, positive reinforcement training. So this here is an example of what the flyers look like. This is just an example from one of our other current partner shelters. And so if you did sign up, we would send these to you, both an electronic copy and paper copies. And this is what you would give to your client so that they could sign up for this program. They would just scan the QR code or click that link and sign up and create a profile for them and their dog and start training. And that is how we track and make sure that we know which clients come from your organization so that they can get their discount and your organization can get that $50 donation if they go past their free trial week. All right, so if this sounds good, if you'd like to give this a try, we would love to work with you. We'd love to work with more shelters and support more shelter dogs. So the way that you sign up is that you go to our shelter website, which is goodpup.com/shelters. It only takes a minute or two to sign up, and then we will create that flyer for you. We'll send you the digital flyer within a day or two, and your paper flyers will arrive within a week or two. And if you have any specific questions about, how this might work at your particular organization, please reach out to me. That's my email right there. And I would be happy to start a conversation with you and answer any specific questions that you have.
Ali, thank you so much. And Lisa, just from the comments in the chat, amazing references. My DMs are lit up right now if people wanted me to connect them with you. So I'm so excited to see this product being expanded to shelters across the country. Thank you also for putting your email in the chat. We are going to move and not do any Q&A today, but I'm sure that you can connect with all the shelters on here. And we hope to have you back maybe in the next couple months to give us an update on how all of this new onboarding is going.
That would be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So in the sake of time, I'm going to keep my next introduction very short, but international speaker, executive business coach, amazing writer, and dog dad, all of the things. So I'm going to toss it over to Dr. Andy Neely and let him get kicked off with his amazing presentation.
Thanks, Bobby. So glad to be with all of you. Hey, you know what? I am going to take 45 seconds. We got to stop and sing happy birthday, don't we? Everybody turn their microphones on. We've seen these chorale groups ever since COVID came out. So Brandy, Bobby, I apologize for how bad this is going to sound because we're not a chorale group, but microphones on. Let's sing quick happy birthday to the two of them. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bobby and Brandy. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
And many more. Oh, all right. We are not going to win any chorale awards, I don't think, but happy birthday. And thanks for letting me be a part of the presentation. As Bobby said, I do most of my work in Fortune 500s and small and medium businesses. But my wife and I are animal people. In fact, I am one of those husbands who is concerned when my wife retires, I'm going to come home one day and find 8 dogs being fed by her all at the same time because of her huge heart. And for me, I just want to share with you for about the next 20 minutes a powerful lesson that one of our rescue dogs taught us. It all started under the steps. We'll get back to these steps in a couple of minutes. First, a little bit more. Those are our 2 current rescues. Mickey is the one with the bright eyes down on the lower left-hand corner. He's about an 8.5-year-old distemper survivor. He was at a kill shelter due to be euthanized when the Golden Retriever Rescue Group grabbed hold of him, and my wife's connected to those groups. And so we rescued Mickey about 4 years ago. He is not normal. He's got some neurological issues because of his distemper that he had as a puppy. He survived, but we love him probably even more so because of his needs. Sawyer is the beauty queen on the upper right-hand corner. And she really is a beauty queen. She's the most beautiful dog we've ever had. I kind of kid her about being like a 1950s beauty queen because she's absolutely beautiful. But don't ask her any hard questions. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. In fact, there they are. We're a big fitness family. That's my wife and our daughter at the gym with Mickey and Sawyer. They go with us regularly to the gym. Oh, that's our daughter's dog. That's Jack. He is 11 months old as of last week. I live in Austin, Texas. God bless Texas. That's Jack in our backyard. And there are Mickey and Sawyer again with me. Any of you that are from Central Texas or know Austin, we are at Mozart's Coffee Shop, the coolest coffee shop in all of Texas. It's right on Lake Austin, and we hang out mornings there a lot. So just very quickly, a little bit more about me. As Bobby said, I've written a couple of books, best-selling author of one about the life of our dogs. I've got 5 million miles on American Airlines from flying all over the world, speaking for people, training, coaching, consulting. Most importantly, folks, my wife and I have rescued 10 dogs and 3 cats over the years. In fact, when my colleague Monica started talking with Bobby a few months ago about me having some time with all of you, you own my heart. While I might spend time on Zoom these days and WebEx and Teams with corporate clients, my wife and I love the work that you do. So it's going to be an interactive session here. This is about me. So how about you? In fact, I've got some questions for you. Are you a dog person, or are you a cat person? Are you a rabbit person? Or are you one of those people that rescues like snakes and arachnids and things? In fact, we are all going to use Zoom this morning. You are going to annotate my slide. In fact, let me show you how to do that. You need to be active in front of your keyboard. I'm going to show you how to annotate someone else's PowerPoint. So here's what we're going to do. Let me show you how to annotate. So if you look carefully up at the very top of your screen, you are going to see that green bar that says you are viewing Dr. Andy's screen. So find that. It's typically up near the top on the right. And then click the view options right next door to that. And a drop down will come down. On that drop down, find the annotate. Kevin, you're already annotating. Good for you. You're a step ahead of everybody else. When you click on that annotate, as Kevin has already discovered, another toolbar is going to pop up. There's lots of choices. Oh, we got people all over the place doing this. Why do I need to be taking? For those of you that aren't as clever as everybody else, find that stamp tool and then choose the heart. There we go, Allison. All right. Oh, we got some wild and crazy annotators. All right, now we're going back to that slide then. All right, so now let me clear everybody's. How do I do that? I got to remember. How do I clear everybody's annotations?
It's
Oh,
right
there
in
we
the
go. All right,
toolbar.
the hearts are coming
Clear.
back. All right. Okay, we do have a couple of scary thing people. All right. But mainly dogs and cats like my wife and me, in addition to Mickey and Sawyer that I showed you a couple of minutes ago. Nicholas, our cat that our daughter rescued Christmas Eve. The cat was out front of our house, probably about 12 years ago now, hence the name Nicholas. So, all right, let me clear this and we are going to go to our next question. That's probably a more important question as we take a look at things. All right, let me exit now. All right, part 2. Are you a dog socks person or a cat socks person? Boring socks or no socks? What do you got on this morning? True confessions. All right. Looks like most of us are no socking it this morning. You know, the fun thing with living in the Zoom world is we can be professional from the waist up, and we've got our sandals on. My wife for Christmas this year ordered me, and it took about 6 weeks to get here. They were actually late, but I have some socks with Sawyer and Mickey's picture on them. They're not just the ones that you get at Banana Republic. So, all right, let me figure out again how to clear all of these as we move into really what we're going to talk about. Oh, thank you for clearing all of that. As I said, it all ended up starting under the steps with Redford. And let me, well, before we get into that, in fact, let me ask you, we are going to be talking about influence, leadership, time, and trust. So I want us to think about some significant leaders from it. In fact, here's your next assignment. You don't need to type this in anywhere. Just take notes for yourself. I've got a few questions. How about the Beatles? What do you remember about the Beatles? How many #1 albums did they have? Next question, the most recent World Cup men's soccer championship. Again, don't write it on the screen anymore. No more annotation. You're going to mess me up if you do that. But for yourself, do you remember that? 4 members of our current president's cabinet. Can you list those members without cheating and going to Wikipedia or Google like I did? Lastly, how about the 5 wealthiest people in the world? Did you come up with a list of that? And can you at least get a couple of those names, maybe Bill Gates or Warren Buffett? How'd you do with those? In fact, let me share with you the right answers that I got from Wikipedia. The Beatles, 15 #1 albums, more than 40 singles worldwide. Those of you that are football followers, you'll remember that France beat Croatia 3 years ago. I think we've got the next World Cup men's championship coming up not too far in the future. 4 members of the president's cabinet. I remembered a couple of them, Janet Yellen and Merrick Garland, but I had to look those up to remember them. 5 wealthiest people. I mentioned Bill Gates. Actually, Warren Buffett is not on the list according to Fortune this year. Bernard Arnault, maybe some of you know, he's a French owner of high fashion fragrance and clothing, bunch of clothing lines. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. I live in Austin, Texas. Elon moved to Austin a few months ago, and then Mark Zuckerberg. So if we're talking about leadership and influence and trust and these are some of the things that seem to get, well, they seem to get all of the press. But let me ask you some other questions right now. And once again, you don't need to answer these on the screen. Think of a friend who's been with you through tough times. Maybe a couple of teachers or coaches who helped you through school. How about 3 people who taught you something worthwhile? Lastly, who are the 4 people that are your go-to people when you need to feel better about yourself? People that always make you feel good about yourself. There's a qualitative difference between my prior slide and this slide, isn't there? Yeah, and this is driving to the point that I've spoken with organizational leaders about worldwide for the last 25 years. Let's talk about the difference. Real influence is different than what we're taught. It has nothing to do with bank accounts, political office, social media connections. Are you an influencer or not? Corporate success. Real influence is when people are better for the time that they spent with you and me. So we need to stop kidding ourselves. It's not about being popular. Being popular and being significant are 2 totally different things. As I do my work around the country and internationally, I'm typically working with managers of organizations, directors, people that have teams underneath them. But what I've come to recognize as I work with people like you and other people, influence is not a positional thing. It's earned. So I'm going to talk about 4 leadership realities. I'm on a Zoom call this morning with a number of people that work for nonprofits. Most of my work over the years has been with for-profit corporations and trade associations. But the truth of the matter is, while the first leadership reality in today's employee and staff constrained world, all organizations are volunteer organizations. If they don't want to stay, they don't, which means anybody who's in a position of leadership leads people who work in volunteer organizations. Those corporations out there, in some respects, they're no different than those of you that are team leaders, managers, directors at your nonprofits and volunteer organizations. And the truth of that is you can't lead or influence a volunteer organization with that traditional command and control dynamics of formal power. That died many, many years ago. Therefore, you and I've got to realize that the only sustainable leadership power today is the informal power of influence. And this is not new to many of you. I'm sure you've thought about that. There are wonderful lessons that our dogs teach us about that. Our cats teach us about that. The power of influence. I'm not sure scary things teach us. I'm not close enough to snakes and arachnids to know if they understand our influence. Some of you need to educate me. But here's the point that I want to make. Today, leaders in all organizations and all levels of an organization, we all lead in an environment rich in choice. More people around us are demanding more freedom and autonomy than ever before. I've been aware of that for years. Boy, in the last 18 months with the with the pivoting that we've all had to do, that has become even more true. So I'm gonna throw the ball back to you right now. How do leaders lead well in this type of environment? And here's where, in fact, I'm gonna ask you to go back to your chat, if you would. I'm not really great at monitoring chat all the time, but I want all of us to go to chat right now, because here's what I'd like you to do. What makes a good leader a good leader? In fact, specifically, here's 4 things. I want you to open your chat function. I want you to take a minute and just think of the best boss you ever worked for. What characteristics, keep it brief because we've got almost 100 people on this Zoom chat. What are the 2 or 3 words that would describe that person? Chat those into the chat box, into the chat box. Oh, Allison, thanks for that good quote and capturing me saying that. Yeah, respect, listening, listen and be neutral, trust. Boy, listening is coming up a number of times. Empathy, supportive, being clear in expectations, caring, supportive and encouraged, trusting, respectful. Boy, Diane, trusting, respectful, engaging others. That nails it. And then I appreciate, Bethany, you mentioning a good boss is somebody that challenges you to get better. Those of us that have worked with challenged pets over the years because of our place of infants, we know part of what we're doing is growing them to a level of freedom and security, supportive and trusting, desire to grow their peers, staff into their best self, supportive and trusting. Great. Listen, supportive. Boy, we've got a bunch of great stuff. Good, folks. Just because of our time, I'm going to push forward, but this is really the discussion that makes all the difference, isn't it? And that leads me to where I want to go next. That's Redford. Isn't he a beautiful dog? Redford was our 6th rescue. My wife and I started rescuing dogs about 5 years into our marriage, and we realized shortly after rescuing our first dog that gregarious breeds, we rescued golden retriever. Our first dog was a golden. They do better when they have other pets. And so we rescued our second dog, and then it's just been this heartbreaking but heart and enlarging experience. Every time we lose a dog, we connect up with one of you folks and rescue our next dog. Redford was rescue number 6, and this is like his glamour shot. What a beautiful dog. In fact, this is the cover of that one little book I've written that's become a bestseller, The Golden Principles. But this isn't Redford the day we brought him home. In fact, here's Redford the day we brought him home. Scared eyes, panting, drooling on our young teenage daughter at that point, haunted look in his eyes. Those of you that work hands-on with pets, you've seen that look. Redford had mange. He was a bit malnourished. Redford, in fact, if you've been doing this for a number of years and you're plugged into the dog rescue world, you might even remember it was about more than 15 years ago now, 16 years ago, a puppy mill in Arkansas was busted by the sheriff's department. And you folks know this so much better than I do, not because of any animal abuse, but because of disturbing the peace. And 65 golden retrievers were distributed all over the country. People brought RVs with crates from California all the way to Arkansas to save some of these dogs. Redford ended up at the Houston Golden Retriever Rescue Group. We live in Austin, about 3 hours from Houston. We had lost a dog in the last couple of months, and our hearts were broken, but we're healing enough that we knew we needed to get Sammy, the other dog in this picture, a new partner. And so my wife reached out to some of the people that she is in touch with and has made donations and invested with, and they told us of some of the dogs. And so we drove down to Houston, and we met Redford. And those of you that live in this world, you know what a joyful but heartbreaking experience is when you see dogs that have been neglected and abused. And the story of Redford, the best that we've able to piece it together, we ultimately did get his paperwork. He was a purebred golden. His name was Golden Boy. We rescued him, and he was a little bit younger than a year old. He had been used as a breeding sire at this puppy mill. And the rescue organization and the sheriff's department, to the best of our understanding, Redford lived the first year of his life in a cage, only being let out to eat and feed and procreate other puppies that this puppy mill could sell for, $300 to $500 or whatever. So many of you can tell stories so much more deeply than that. But when we saw Redford, we knew that he was a dog we were supposed to take care of next. Although, again, not surprising for many of you, I had the mistaken reality. I had a baseball cap on with sunglasses the first time I looked at Redford, and I peeled them off as quickly as I could. Those of you that understand pet psychology would have told me that was a mistake. He squatted and urinated the first time I saw him. In fact, Redford had issues. And in fact, that brings me back to those steps that I mentioned. Those are the steps we used to live up on the north side of Austin in a house that had this beautiful back porch with big steps that led down to the grass. And folks, we are one of those ridiculously over the top, in some people's minds, pet families. And we had a half-acre yard with a swimming pool. I think the pool was more for the dogs than for us. We spoiled our dogs. We knew how to handle rescue dogs well. We would crate them and love on them and approach them slowly. But here was the problem. That particular Sunday, it was raining in typical Texas fashion, raining dogs and cats. And if you were to look very closely on the side of these steps, those railings that look like they go down, don't go all the way down to the bottom. And it was a rainy mess. And Redford, the dog that we had just saved his life and everything was going to be good for him for the rest of his life, had wedged himself 6 feet under these 12-foot steps in a pile of mud, howling. And we couldn't get to him. And to make matters worse, I was scheduled to get on an airplane that Sunday afternoon to fly out to a client engagement someplace else. And I'm on my hands and knees and it was just one of those experiences where it's like, Redford, you don't know, you are safe. You are, this is, if I don't know what doggy heaven looks like, but if you knew where you were at, Redford, but that was the problem. Redford didn't know. And indeed, in fact, that began a process for Redford that took weeks and months, and in some respects, years through the rest of his life. He was never one of those outgoing, happy-go-lucky, everybody's best friend, service dog golden retriever. Redford slowly came out of the shell. Good news is we got him out from underneath the steps eventually, and some muddy jeans and towels later. I even made my flight at the airport, so everything worked out. But as I reflected on Redford and the challenge of that, it really led me to recognize what I ended up calling the Redford principle. My publisher ultimately ended up calling it the golden principle, because he said, Andy, that's got a better ring to it. The golden rule, the golden principle. He's a golden retriever. And the golden principle, folks, is not a new one to you. It's just the recognition that trust takes time. In fact, let me talk to you about a couple of words for time. In the Greek written language from more than 2,000 years ago, there were several words that we end up translating as time in English: chronos, aeon, kairos. Let me talk about chronos and kairos. From chronos, in Greek language, 2,500 years, during the time of Socrates and Christ, during that time, chronos was, it was simply calendar time: sunrise, sunset, 525,600 minutes, chronos. There was another word that they used. It was used less frequently, but more powerfully. And it was the Greek word kairos. And kairos was used for a distinct time, a time of risk or a time of opportunity when the Greek gods, when Zeus or Apollo would strike according to their mythology. It was a time of kairos, a time of risk or a time of opportunity. Or as I heard a colleague of mine say a while back, Andy, really, it's about turning minutes into moments. And I want to talk about that with you as leaders and influencers inside your organization for just a minute. How much time is enough time? I've actually done some research on that. It varies depending upon context. Duke University, more than 10 years ago now, did a landmark study that they ended up calling the Trusted Advisor Study. And in their study, they found out that people who are in a corporate environment, this was a Duke Business School, Fuqua Business School University study, took 36 months for someone to be viewed as a trusted advisor to that board or that association or that organization. Three years of time. I've worked a lot in the sales space. I've worked with a lot of sales managers over the year. Procter & Gamble did some initial training, gosh, probably 35 years ago. And they would say, hey, if you're trying to sell a product to a potential buyer, you got to reach out to them by phone, by email, face-to-face. You got to get them a brochure, 10 different touches before they'll say yes and make a purchase. Recently, my wife was teaching as an adjunct professor at a local university, and I went and spent the afternoon in the library when she was teaching. And one of the sales textbooks that I pulled off the shelf said, expect 5 to 12 no's before you get a yes. It's going to take some moments to convert that prospect into a customer. And that really led me to this idea of trust accounts. Here's the reality of trust accounts. Deposits into trust accounts are typically small, while withdrawals are typically large. What that means for you and me as people who long to be people of influence, well, you and I've got to be purposeful about turning minutes into moments. Regular ongoing deposits need to be made because eventually withdrawals are going to come. Now, I have not gotten to spend hardly any time with any of your organizations. I look forward to maybe doing that more in the future in some respects. I'm so excited when Bobby and my colleague agreed that I could take 30 minutes of your time today because I love what you do. I just love what you do and want you to be more and more successful. As we start our wrap-up time, I just got 3 questions for you, once again, really to self-reflect on as you head into your busy week. Question number 1, how does this concept of chronos versus kairos apply for you in your organization? Indeed, if we had enough time to do breakout rooms, this would probably be a great discussion for all of us as team leaders and managers to discuss inside our organizations. We're not going to take that time today, but that would be a worthwhile thing to think about. In fact, I'm going to challenge you individually and look each one of you in this Zoom eye and ask you what 2 or 3 specific things can you do better about making time and building trust with the people that you seek to influence. And then lastly, who do you need to kairos on before the end of the day today? Time and trust, in some respects, are the same word. I will share with you the wonderful news that Redford came around, and this magnificent dog ended up being just one of the sweetest dogs in the world. We lost him 3 years ago, September. So, what a wonderful, wonderful dog. Not just wonderful, but a wise dog who taught us how to love him. Trust takes time. Bobby and Mary, before I turn it over to you, hey, if anyone would like to purchase a copy of the Golden Principles, there's the link to the book order form on my website. And simply because I'm in Austin, Sarah and I have connected. $5 of every book order that you make goes toward Austin Pets Alive, the local Pets Alive group. I would be happy to make those donations. If you're interested in a larger order of those books that you want to make available for your board or for special team members, just reach out to me. It would be my honor. In fact, there's my email address, andy@neelyleadership.com. And if you know anyone else that would benefit from this type of presentation, it would be my privilege to reach out and make myself available. Having said that, Bobby, I know I want to make sure we honor everybody's time. Bobby or Mary, may I turn it back over to you and stop my screen share at this point?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Neely. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, the rest of the team from Good Pup. I think this is such an important conversation when we talk about trust and time. We are right now in the business of reimagining the future of animal sheltering and animal welfare and the words that we use and the language that we use. And it's not just about the folks on these calls, it's about how does that trickle to our communities, to our volunteers, to our staff. And so to me, this was just reassuring that we are going in the right direction, and every single day we're going to be better at the work that we do. And on that note, I will toss it over to my dear friend, Mary Smith, to close us out.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Dr. Andy. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Ali. What a great, great way for us to sort of end our summer. Just a reminder that with the idea of Dr. Andy to take time, we're going to be giving you guys back your time on Friday and next Monday. So there won't be any calls on either of those. So maybe that would be a time to ponder some of the questions that Dr. Andy has raised for us. And I would just want to remind you all that what we give and what we receive are very, very different. So ponder those things as we go forward, and it'll be fun to reconnect with you on, what is it, Allison, September 12th?
10th.
10th. Thank you. Boy, math is hard for me. 10th is the Friday, but then 12th is the following Monday. Okay, we're both right. I love it. All right, you
Say the
guys, be
13th,
safe.
but- Okay.
And for all of you that are being hit by Ida and other natural disasters, our hearts go out to you. As always, if there are things in particular that you may need that you think that we can help with, please reach out. Be safe, you all. Happy birthday, Brandy. Happy birthday, Bobby.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.